Let's go. Welcome. Happy Monday. Happy April 1st. Happy April Fools. Good to be with you today, this evening. We're going to get started in just a minute, guys. Right now, we're just jamming a little bit. You know, I used to be a DJ back in the day, man. When I was in high school, middle school, high school, college. Long ago, ancient times. All right, let's get it going, guys. I love this mellow vibe. It's time to get started. Welcome, everybody. Good evening to you. Happy Monday, April 1st, 2024. Quarter is done. Quarter number one is done. Man, this conversation today is dedicated to make sure that we put to bed whatever wasn't working in the first quarter of the year for you, and look at all the things that were, and we're going to improve upon that so that we're going to choose exactly the things that we want to implement and do and take action on in our company that are going to give us the results moving forward consistently and reliably. So I'm always excited to be with you on a Monday night. Let's go, man. Let's go. All right. So just real quick, just to give you some background here. This is the company, my company. I'm the founder, then CFO and senior consultant at By the Books Consulting. All right. That's me, Cheston Bulgin. And you can reach us at 888-4BTB now. That's 888-428-2669. And you can always reach us on the web at bythebooksconsultants.com or youraccountingsuperhero.com. And this is my email, cheston@bythebooksconsultants.com. Okay. Now, look, this conversation really is going to be for you guys. If you own a trucking company, if you're a truck fleet owner, we're talking about how you can be profitable today and this moving forward in the next quarter of the year, quarter number 2 of 2024. All right. And before we get started with that, quick disclaimer: the following is for educational purposes only and is not to be considered financial, accounting, or legal advice. Please consult your tax, accounting, and/or legal professional for specific advice. All right. So we're going to end this, guys. Let's bring this back down. All right. So maximize me. So we're going to really talk today. One of the things I want to do right now, too, is if there's anything that you really want to go over inside of your trucking company, you want a one-on-one, we're doing this thing. We're giving you a profit and cash flow analysis. All right. So you can do that by scheduling that call here. I'm putting that link there in social media. So you should see that on Facebook and on YouTube. You'll have that there for your reference. Any other channels, you'd have to go on YouTube or Facebook and follow us there to see how to do that. That's theaccountingsuperhero.com/calendar. To book that call, book that session. Okay. Now, for today, really, we're going to talk about how you can choose, man, how you can make profitable choices in trucking, no matter what you think the economy, how much you think the economy is against you or how much you think things are against you. I know that, and we deal with a lot in terms of, it seems like the unexpected, right? You deal with the unexpected in the trucking industry, like, okay, the truck breaks down, all right? Or the driver wants home time, or, there's this regulation that they put into place, and I don't think I have control over a lot of what we do here. And I want you to just know that you have some control. You do have a way to make sure that you're making decisions over and over again that are going to be in your favor. And a lot of times it can seem like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know, what it is that I can actually do other than what I'm doing. And that's okay. We can be there in that part of the conversation. Just recognize that you have blind spots. And most likely the blind spots are due because you're not measuring and monitoring everything the way that you really want to. in your business. Like if you were meticulous about watching and measuring everything that's going on inside of your trucking company, well, you'd be like, man, oh, I see exactly what to do here. Okay. Now, so I will say this up front, just to because we're not going to really be talking so much toward in the systems that you have to track everything in your trucking company for this conversation. But what we will be talking about today is how cool it is to make decisions once those um, things are tracked properly. All right. And again, I put that link in the chat if you feel as though you need to get on a profit and a cash flow analysis so we can look at your systems to see it, like where you are. You can hop on a call with me or somebody on my team, and we'll do that with you. Go over what you're up to in your business so that you can be clear. Okay, where is it that I'm missing some stuff, like in my systems, and where is it can I actually put them some things in, and how can I move forward from here? We'll answer those questions specifically if you want to get on one of those calls. But that's only for people who actually choose to do that. All right, you got to really give some energy behind your intentions in life, like making the choices. And one thing, man, like I see you guys, you choose the choice to be here on this call is huge. That's one of those things. We want to continue to make choices like that in our favor because not too many people are on a call like this, learning things like this that will make the difference inside of their operations. So continue that momentum. If you really feel that you want to find out the thing that's been in the way, yeah, definitely get on a strategy session, man. Get on that cash flow, that profit and cash flow analysis, right? And that link is in our social media on Facebook, guys. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to take a look at a couple of things. All right. A lot of what we do here, we're going to talk about reality, and we're looking at like the reality in terms of what we can measure is happening. So you'll see me bring this up from time to time, pretty frequently, pretty often, because I want to be able to see, and what am I dealing with out here? What am I dealing with out here? And why would I want to do that is because I have an intention, which is a goal, an outcome I'm seeking, and I want to measure. Okay, well, how is it that I can get like where I am? I for one. Versus where I want to be, number two. Okay, so there's a gap. There's an intention reality gap that I want to constantly be in the know about. All right. So, case in point, I work with trucking companies all across the country, and a lot of times I'll get in these conversations. I'm like, and I hear things. I'll hear things that the fleet owner would say. I'll see things that they'll do, and it's clear to me that they don't think like this. I had a call like last week. I had a call with one of our clients, and they were like, "Man, I'm tired of paying so much in taxes. So I need to do something to buffer this, right? I need to buffer my tax exposure." And mind you, I actually reached out to this particular client because I saw the pain in that, and I wanted to make sure that they were good. They had a way, and I got on a call with them at one point a few months ago and said, "Hey, look, we want to make sure you go into the year and you are insulated against like having to suffer with taxes, and we keep more money in your pocket. I can see a way where you can actually add, get this, man, I was seeing, man, they can probably add another 15 to $20 million to their net, like bottom line with what I was seeing, right? I had that conversation and they chose not to take action on that at that point in time. But then I get a call back later on, for one, it was evident in that conversation because they didn't choose to act that at that point in time that number one, I did not communicate as effectively as I could have communicated for them to understand the urgency and importance of them acting at that point in time. All right. Because they didn't get it. Right. And I really want people to get it inside of my communication. Right. And at that point, that's one. Number two, they did not choose. Right. They did not choose because they did not see, they did not understand, and they did not know exactly what this impact would be. There was a blind spot per se. So there was that area of I don't know what I don't know, and it's going to continue to operate in the status quo. And because of that, there's going to be a consistent result in line with that, right? The outcome, they're going to get more of the same, right? Now, if you and I are able to see things differently, newly inside of where we are. In this example, this guy came back to me last week. He was like, "Man, I'm suffering here. I really want to make sure we're not spending so much in taxes because guess what? It's 2 weeks away is the deadline to file taxes for individuals. And they're like, man, I don't want to have to pay this big, huge bill. It's the humongous bill for taxes. And right now, there's not much he can do for what has happened. And there's a way to carve a path forward from here to ensure that he can take the actions necessary to not pay as much or not have that much of an outlay in taxes. And then other things inside of the business that I could see that they're just not aware of. right? So what I want to leave you with here is that you can actually choose, right? Choose to take action that's going to go in your favor time after time after time again when the mindset is aligned with that, right? When we stop looking outside of ourselves as something else out there is the reason why you don't have what you want to have in life and in your business. When you take the paradigm shift to, okay, I have everything that I need in my hands, so it's up to me. I own the whole thing. How am I going to shift this? Now, when we start with that mindset, then there are always going to be actions that you can take. Right? Case in point, my client, he could have taken actions to listen and implement some of the things we were talking about, right, on that engagement, which would be to spend $100,000 less just from taxes alone, and then start wasting some resources in certain areas, specifically where he's overspending by somewhere between $10 and $12 million a year, right? So that would be the thing, right? But they would want to actually see that and take action on that, and not be inside of, okay, there's nothing I can really do other than what I've been doing already, right? Now we're looking at this right here in our conversation that we look at from time to time, because this gives us a few things that we look at. Give us a reference point, like a standard, a fixed thing that we can look at, so we're not just in our own head about things when we make our decision. Bad idea, because when we're in our own head about things, a lot of the time, it's not reality based, right? We just feel this way. It's a feeling inside, and feelings are horrible masters. Horrible. Great servants, horrible masters. Okay. So now we want to make sure that we can see certain things out here in reality to give us a reference point, a guideline, a basis. Like, we can always come back to this. All right. Now, what are we looking at here? We're looking at what fuel prices have been doing. Diesel prices have been doing over time, and more so recently. So on the right-hand side of what we're looking at here on the screen, this is recent results, recent activity for fuel, right? We're going to take this information, we're going to compile this and other information to make sure we know exactly what to do when we're choosing to plan our activity moving forward. So now, if I were you, right, in your position, I would have a structure where I would come into our load planning setting every single week and look at what the market is telling me, and then make pivots based on what the market is telling me. Oh, market is saying that this area sucks this week. Right? So I'm gonna stay away from this area this week, and I'm gonna go in this area over here that looks a lot better. Right? I'm gonna focus all energy and efforts doing that, right? To make sure that we're doing well in this area. Right? So if we can pivot like that, we can shift like that in these areas, then we can win. So what does that really look like? Okay. You'll see me, I'll pull up this spreadsheet here from time to time as well. Yeah, as I'm building this out. And I'm thinking, my wife and I were in a conversation, like, man, she saw one of these I think she's watching now too. She saw one of these live streams that we were doing. She's like, man, did you build that thing? That spreadsheet? And me, I don't think anything of it. It's just a spreadsheet. I do these things all the time. I build spreadsheets every day, but I've been compiling this one over a couple of years just to give me the data that makes sense inside of the industry, right? So I keep tweaking it along the way to build out like some of the metrics and some of the reality that I'm talking about when we look at the market and analyze the market, so we can make strong choices. So you guys can make strong choices when it comes to load planning. Okay. So she said, yeah, you built this thing. I was like, yeah, I built this thing a couple of years back, and I just keep tweaking along the way. And I started, and she said, man, you could actually offer that to people. I was like, yeah, that's something I could do. I could offer this to people. Why didn't I think of that? It's like, well, new ideas. So what I want to ask you, if you want to get access to a spreadsheet like this specific spreadsheet, just let me know. All right, send a message in the chat, reach out via any of the means that we displayed earlier on, we gave you earlier on. And yeah, we'll make that a reality for you. We'll offer that thing to you so that you can have it. Okay. So there it is. Now, if you don't express any interest, well, closed mouths don't get fed. As Mama would say that back in the day. Closed mouths don't get fed. All right. But yeah, send a message here in the chat if you want access to this. Now, only the people today that send it on while we're on the call will get access to this spreadsheet for free. How about that? Special. If you're on this call right now and you put it in the comments inside of where you are, in the chat where you are, that you want a copy of this spreadsheet, I will send it to you for free. All right. Just put it in the chat, any social media channel that you're on watching this. And today, while we're doing this, we have 15 more minutes because we're going to be done in 15 minutes. You can put that in the chat. Okay. So good. There that is. So this really gives us access to the market. And I'm going to show you what the difference is. Well, what the benefit is, rather, of having something like this. So, excuse me, guys. I need to get some water. And this up here at the top is really our fuel costs that we're dealing with right now, today. Right? And it's based on what we just looked at in the market, right? Then the actual average national fuel prices. This is what they've been doing over the course of the last week. This is a trend over the course of the last week. So fuel prices have trended down, right? Right at around that right down below and just around that $4 per gallon mark. And it's gone down almost 1%, which is a favorable thing. Okay, this is a favorable thing. So it, like, just, I think Lee, you just commented. I mean, this covers this will be formatable for whatever you want to use it for in the industry. Okay. So, I mean, as long as you're using diesel fuel, I mean, this is really for diesel fuel. So mostly you're going to be using a diesel powered vehicle, even if you're doing hotshot runs. Okay. But it can be formatted for whatever it is in the industry that you want it to be. Okay. All right. So, for example, like the mile per gallons that I have up here at the top, you just want to plug in what your average miles per gallon is for your vehicle, for your fleet. You plug that in there and it'll give you some accurate, up-to-date costs, like for cost per mile. All right. But the fuel prices, dude, they don't change. I'm saying they don't, like, this is going to be the same idea, same concept, right? You're going to plug in the fuel prices week by week, and you'll be able to make some sound decisions. Okay. All right. So where are we getting this information from, for one? All right. So I'm taking this information off of, the standard economics every single week, economic data. It's Fred channel. So we got this. All right. But then we go to the EIA.gov. Okay. So this is the U.S. Energy Information Administration. All right. So this is what they give us for gas prices and diesel prices that go into this, what I'm using here. Okay. Now, I just plug the numbers in week by week. And what we get out of that, guys, we get a consistent, like, per week analysis for the previous week, what the trend is over the last week is what we'll get. So fuel prices have been trending down. All right. So this is how that has trended down. All right. And we look at, in addition to that, we can see also that freight rates have also been trending down. Right. Now, in terms of, they're going to give you ideas for national van rates, like dry van rates, flatbed rates, and reefer rates. So that's what's here. So to speak more to what Lee's question is, like, this is more so inside of like the flatbed lanes, the dry van lanes, and the reefer lanes. Okay. Now we can look up information instead and put that on here for whatever you're running hot shots with, right? So you want to make sure you go in there and make the proper adjustments for what they're reporting for those rates. You can even add another column there, like, and duplicate that so that those analytics are there as well. Okay. So, but the bottom line, the idea behind this is that we want to see, well, what is our cost per mile on the low end? What's the cost per mile on the high end? Right. So what if I pay drivers at this rate, 55 cents per mile? How does that impact me? Overall cost per mile? How's that going to impact my profitability? But we're going to take all these data points, these analytics. We're going to transpose this into, what it looks like to plan a load. Okay, so if you're using spot market rate, load boards, rather, if you're on the load boards looking at spot market, and you want to come in here and understand, does it make sense for me to take a load? You can come in here and look at the rate con that the broker's sending you. Like, you can, even if you're negotiating on the phone and you have this in front of you, and say, okay, well, like, what am I going to do here? Does it make sense for me to even pull this freight? You can say, okay, well, the broker wants to pay me. Let's say you find a load on load board is $1,500, right? And then the rate miles on the rate con, it says, oh yeah, man, it's about 800. It's about 750 miles, right? So you say 750 miles, right? That's what they say on the rate miles that they give you. But when you look it up, the hub miles, like when you go and see that the hub miles of what that load really is, you say, okay, well, they give me 750 rate miles, but I looked it up. It's actually 822 miles from me, like for the whole trip, like from pickup to drop off. You did the background research and said, okay, based on the routes that we take, it's going to be 822 miles to do this load. Okay. Then once you get that understood, you say, well, where am I dropping off? What's my deadhead to the drop off there, to the pickup, from my drop off to the pickup? You can say, man, I got a little bit of a deadhead here. It's going to take me like 125 miles to get there from where I drop off. So you can plug that data in here. And now, the broker's saying it's $2 per mile. That's what the broker's saying is $2 per mile. Basically what they say, hey, man, it's pretty decent rate, flat, it's dry van, $2 a mile. And then you go in here and say, well, not really, because this is what I'm actually doing here. I'm actually getting $1.58 per mile. It's like, whoa, that's not that decent. I thought it was more when they put it on the load board, but that's not really what it is. I might want to look at something else, right? Because I really want to get, like, the target is to do right at that $2 a mile, like low, right? That may be what you have as an intention, right? To run your fleet that way, right? Especially with inside of what you're doing, like the division you're in. If you're running flatbed, if you're running dry vans, especially, that might be one of the things you're looking to do at this point in time, right? Now, if you know that, man, I'm actually going to be running it at $1.58 a mile, that's cutting out a significant amount. That's almost 25% is a cutout, right? So what do we do here? Well, we can actually take a look and see, well, what's going to be my true cost per mile here, really, right? So there's some things in here that we can look at to see, okay, well, if we put a modest rate in here for maintenance costs. We're using all the data from the other sheet, guys, inside of this to give us a real good idea of how much it's going to cost us to run this load as well, right? So the cost per mile, right? We got this at $1.35 cost per mile, right? We took in consideration factoring. After factoring comes into play, it's actually, we're making even less, if you have a factoring company, right? What if we tweaked the pay for our drivers, right? What if we made our drivers moving forward a little less than what we're paying right now? Can we actually improve this a little bit? These are some of the questions you might want to ask yourself when you're looking at this, right? Now, you're looking at ways, and this is what I mean by choices, guys. Now we're starting to look at ways we can improve the performance based on what we see here, okay? We're starting to look at specific ways we can do this, right? Because now we want to keep more money in our pocket. At the end of the day, if we look at this, we like $27 is what we're actually going to make, right? And like if we're spending this over, let's say it takes us a day and a half to run this. We're solo. It takes us a day and a half to run this, right? Well, that's going to carry us for our overhead costs. Going to carry us there too. Over 1.5 days, our overhead impact will be somewhat like this, is what I want to say, right? Like if you have a truck payment, you can plug all this in here, guys, like to see. So what I want you to be left with inside of this communication is that you don't have to have it be a mystery. Like when you're planning things out, you don't have to choose randomly inside of what you're doing. You can actually look at opportunities that are going to go in your favor over and over again in your planning process. Like instead of just taking what's available, like you want to make sure you're taking something that's going to help you win, right? Plan it out to a T, right? So that these choices, you know that you're always going to be in the black instead of in the red. Okay, is what I want to say. All right. So kind of cool to think about that you can do this, all right? And there are other ways that we can actually bring this to the table in terms of seeing what it is that we're gaining from making these choices inside of load planning. All right. Now the other thing when it comes to this quarter and you want to make decisions to be profitable in quarter number 2 this year, it's going to be okay. What type of overall changes do I need to make to my business to have it work? All right. This is a great time to look at what you've done up until now through this year and say, okay, well, what really worked, what didn't? It maybe didn't work for me to pay my drivers as much. Maybe I can talk to them about, what that's going to look like moving forward so that we can win all the way around and can still feel as though they're getting something out of it, right? Maybe if they can take maybe a 2 cent, maybe 1 cent reduction, how much of an impact would that make on our overall company? Can we get something, right? At least start asking the question, right, and posing it to the people who work with you. And a lot of times, like the drivers who work with you are there for more than just how much they make. They're there because they feel good working with you. If you're that type of owner, they know you're going to look out for them. They know you're going to take care of them, right? They know they're not alone out there on the road, right? Because like a lot of owners who have been drivers themselves, they really understand and can relate to what it's like being out there on the road. And because if you're an owner like that and you're not on the road anymore and you just have drivers, that's a very relatable place to be. You can really relate to your drivers in a way where it just makes sense for them to stay with you because they know that you have their back, because you have empathy, because you've been in their shoes, you've gone through all the things, right? I've been there personally myself. I've been on the road, like driving, like out for weeks, months at a time, for large companies where I feel as though I'm just a number, right? I've done that, right? And it doesn't feel good to feel as though you're just a number. You're just kind of looking at when you're going to get out of that position. But when you work with somebody who actually makes you feel as though they care about you, it's a different story. You want to stay, right? So there are other things outside of wages, is what I want to say, that allow people to want to stay with you and drive with you. And you want to have this line of communication with them to make sure that everybody's winning all the way around. The company wins, everybody can win, right? So that's the goal. That's the actual thought process that we want to have. Okay. Now, when we're looking at making all these pivots in this quarter, in addition to that, well, what else can we do? Like, how can we get the miles per gallon to be more efficient? Right. That's another question that we want to ask ourselves. How can we have this be more efficient? Do we need to look at swapping out equipment? Do we need to look at financing some new equipment, right, and getting rid of the old one, right? So that we can operate more efficiently in the future, in this quarter, right? What lanes do we want to stay with? On a week by week, we want to be able to pivot, but if we don't have the equipment to pivot, then we get stuck. Maybe we want to invest in, if we're doing if we're only doing drive-in work, maybe you want to start investing in flatbed. Maybe you want to start investing in reefer, because sometimes reefer goes up when the others don't. And then, sometimes flatbed will go up like it did this week. When the other lanes, the other equipment, the other pieces of equipment, they go down, right, in terms of the available spot market rates for them. Okay. So now you want to start thinking about, okay, well, what can we do to improve our ability to pivot like fast? What can we do? Okay. Now, sometimes a setup like this in the beginning of a quarter has like years and years and years of positive impact, right? Because you made a decision just today. Now you can move into like 2025, 2026, 2027, up into 2030 and have like so much more longevity and profitability because you decided to make these pivots now because you could see everything. Okay. So when we're talking about that, like specifically like the pivots that have you win, winning simply means that you have more money in the bank. Your company is growing in a positive direction, consistently and reliably, time after time after time, because of the decisions that you made at key moments, right? So you want to be able to have those moments of clarity where you make these impactful decisions that help you win long term. All right, guys. Hopefully this conversation was helpful to you. I see you, Baxter, man. I'm gonna send you the spreadsheet. You were the only one who requested it, brother. So you're gonna get it. All right, and you're gonna get it for free. All right. But guys, it's been great being with you today. Go out here, crush this quarter. I want to continue this conversation and talk more about some of the specific things we can look at to help you win inside of your business. We'll talk more about tracking things so that you can see this for yourself as well, right, inside of your financial picture. And I want to make sure that, you guys are just set up that way for moving forward always. All right, guys, take care. It's been great being with you. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.